Hello, lawyers. This is the last live that Carla and I are doing for our Thriving Lawyer launch. We're here because today what we wanted to do was really have a bit of a last look inside the course, but instead of looking all through the entire 6 modules, what we're going to do is focus on module 1 for you. And that's because with the way that we've designed the course, Module 1 really provides the absolute foundation for what we're doing, and we want you to be able to have a look through it and see exactly what you'll get from it and how it would work. So just though I probably should have introduced myself a little bit for those who don't know me, I'm Kathleen Brenner. I'm a lawyer with many years experience, and I'm also an ICF accredited coach, and I'm here today with Carla. So Carla, I might hand over to you to give your own intro and perhaps say a little bit more about today.
Sure. So I'm Carla Ferraz. I'm a coach. I'm really passionate about supporting leaders and lawyers to create thriving and sustainable careers as well as lives in general. So today is all about exploring Module 1. So we're going to show you inside, and we're going to show you what you're going to walk away with and why it can potentially shift how you see your career and how you want to approach things a bit different, even after the very first week of Module 1. So Module 1, we started with the big picture. We explored what thriving really means as a lawyer. Now, so it's not just about keeping your head above water. It's not about ticking boxes, that is somewhat else definition of success. It's what thriving means to you, how it works for you. So we will unpack the difference between surviving, succeeding, and what thriving is. We introduce you to some key concepts of positive psychology and how you can start applying them to your lives immediately. We created a structure, so it's a step-by-step way. So each module adds depth and perspective, and you add more toolkits, more tools to your toolkit. So it's very intentional. It's recognizing that this kind of growth, it's non-linear as well. You might find that one module speaks directly to you where you are right now, and then maybe another one becomes more relevant later on as your awareness is evolving and as your challenges might be shifting. And that's the way that it's supposed to be, right? It's not about ticking all the boxes in the right order. It's about deepening your understanding of yourself and how your work, it's meaning for you. So, and we are aware, we created an evidence-based framework for you to explore each concept, each practice, and how it applies to your own reality. So to your schedule, to your personality, to your inner world. So we've designed this space for you in each module to reflect and to reflect what is true for you, how you're getting to understand things different, how might you experiment with them, and what are you noticing, what is working, what is not working. So we're not telling you exactly what to do. We're providing a framework, and we invite you into this process of a thoughtful experimentation. I think it's a good way to conceptualize. So we believe that the real power of this program lies in this creating space to reflect, to be honest with yourself, to stretch yourself, to stretch your assumptions, to make choices that are more aligned to who you are now and who you want to be, both as a lawyer and in the rest of your life. So we're going to go into Kathleen's going to show you each lessons and the workbook and the exercises. So would you like to take us in, Kathleen?
Sure. Okay, so let me just share here. What you should be able to see here now is basically the structure of Module 1. So even if we go back a step just for a moment to have a look at the whole structure of the course, what you've got here is the whole 6 modules. Now, as Carla said, we're going to go through in a little bit more detail Module 1, but you can see here, it's a very smooth, lovely kind of user experience in terms of that we've created it really specifically so that you can navigate through it really quite easily. But if we look at now Module 1 here, you'll see very much here, there's a really short little introduction that we've got. This will just be kind of setting the scene for the module, which is what you'll do in the first week. This one doesn't have an exercise because it's just a little introduction, but every other one will. And then you start to go through the process, and we've deliberately designed it so that you've got really kind of bite-sized videos. They vary in length. Depending, some are a few minutes, some are more like 10, or I think there's some that are even a bit longer, but really bite-sized pieces, and there's a Kajabi app so that you can even access it on the app. If you're on the train and you've got a few minutes just to watch the video, it's really flexible in the way that you can access and do it. You don't have to be on your desktop. And then you see as we go here, in the first exercise, the first lesson of module 1, this is where we really set the scene about what are we even talking about when we're talking about thriving and languishing? Well, what are our key concepts and the goal, and how does that relate to lawyers specifically? Because that's the other thing. This is not just a generic kind of self-coaching wellbeing course. This has been designed, I've put all my experience as a lawyer and understanding lawyer needs from all the conversations that I've had, so that Carla and I could start to use our coaching skills and create it in a really evidence kind of way. But as you can see, you can watch the video here. This one, 8 minutes. It's got some of the content also below that you can read about if you also want to have, if you learn through reading as well as through visual aids. And each one has an exercise. Now, we're not going to go through that one, but I'll show you a bit down the track. So as we go, we would keep continuing. If we go back now, we can see lesson 2. This one is moving on. Now that we've got our key concepts about what it means to thrive or languish, we're starting to look at the experience of lawyers specifically. And we start to think about, what are the roadmaps? What are the obstacles that keep lawyers from thriving? What are some of the specific challenges that are faced? And then, in the exercise for this one, what you'll start to do is start exploring how they show up for you, because it's only if you understand your own situation that you're then able to make changes. And what we're really about at this point is really wanting you to pause and notice, aren't we, Carla? It's really about that kind of reflection. Did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say before, right? We give you the concept, but then you bring them back through the workbooks, how this concept apply to my reality. And then you start uncovering, do I have this assumption? Is this true, to my work and my life? And then you build on it, and you keep building that roadmap step by step.
Yeah. So, and you can also post comments if you've got thoughts about it too, which is a really helpful little thing. And we'll engage with conversation, we will respond. So it's not just like you're left to yourself as you do it. So let's just go back. We'll have a look at lesson 3. Again, we're really building here on that noticing and that reflection, because, once you've thought about, you've got a clear sense of what thriving means and what it means for you specifically, you start to look at, what the obstacles, now we build on that, or what might it look like for you specifically, given some of those obstacles to create. And again, we've used quite an evidence-based framework for you to do that. Then the next module here, oops, I skipped a module. Hang on, let me just go back to module 1. Here in lesson 4, principles for thriving. Okay, so again, we're building again on where you've gone. And I could have done it here. So this is the most simple way. But you've got some key concepts that we look at. And these are important things that we'll explore, right, as we go through the course too, because they're foundational concepts in terms of, for example, growth mindset's really helpful. And lawyers often think that they have one, but what our experience is often some of the thinking can be quite fixed. And then next, is lesson 5, creating your own vision as a thriving lawyer. So again, you can see how we've built up through all of this. We're building up that picture, and now you get into the real specifics of like what are you doing, and you'll actually do an exercise where you start to really put that together in a whole picture. And then we'll come back to that as we go through the course and build on it. So you end up in the first half of the course where we're exploring the vision and values with a really clear picture of your own thriving life and what that means. And then as we move to the second half, it's much more about the implementation. But that said, even in that first half of the course, you will still be experimenting with small practical things that you can start doing. It's very action oriented from the beginning, so that you can start to make change, isn't it, Carla?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a really, even though it's a self-paced course, like it's quite interactive because you're building, you're reflecting, and you're coming back, right? And in the beginning, it's so one of the things that I find really interesting is just going back, like at the end when you get to module 6, go back to the beginning, to the very first reflections that you had, and see how that has evolved and how that has changed, because you've gained so much clarity along the way, especially if you sit down with each of these concepts and start reflecting, right? And understand where in the course, where should you be making change? What needs to shift for you to have your idea of thriving?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, that might be a good point, Carla. We've kind of gone through the course. You can see this particular module, how it's designed. Look, this is quite a short video. Some of them are much longer. And so it really is, you learn the content, and the magic though is you really need to put the time and the effort, which can only, it can be from an hour or 2 a week, can really help you make significant change. The magic is in, as you go, building that picture, doing the reflective exercises, and then experimenting with some little actions. So what I want to share now is one example, because we've got a workbook of, like, for each of the modules, each of the lessons, you'll have a workbook exercise for each lesson. So it is really practical, and it's done in a way that is really clear. And it's again, I'll just show you the first page here. We start with some really clear questions for you to really reflect on. So, for example, in the 4, when we were thinking about some of those key principles, we get you to engage in some reflection. But, further down in the workbook, there's more, as you start to build on that and start to think about, like, what is the actual steps or actions or things that you're going to take forward from that. Carla, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think this is the thing. Like many lawyers, many leaders in general, like they try to make changes without first asking, what do I actually want from my career and my life? What do I want it to look like? Now, in this module 1, we really help you build that clear vision, right? Like we ask you so many questions from so many different angles. And so hence why it's really important to go through the exercise as well. Like you can watch, you can learn the concept, but applying and discovering, how that means for you, it's really important. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, that's a little very super quick tour through module 1. I hope that you got something out of that. And look, today is the last day of our opening launch offer. The course will be available after tomorrow, but what you do get if you get it by 8 p.m. today is our opening special. We've got a whole lot of bonuses that you will just get that we normally sell, for 3 1-hour on-demand seminars, which would usually be sold $97 each or $247 for the 3. They're really good, and they are completely designed to really deepen your understanding in the course. They fit really well with it. One of them is about coaching skills for lawyers and really going into some foundational skills and applying them way beyond just with lawyers who lead staff. I think there's a common misconception in the legal profession that, coaching is something that you do with your staff. Yes, it is, but it's got so much more potential. And we teach you some really basic skills in that can be applied, for example, when you're getting instructions with your clients. Also one on flow, because one of the challenges that we see lawyers facing in their actual work that is a real obstacle to thriving are the constant distractions, which means that they might be working long hours, but not necessarily being as productive as they could be because of all of those pings and alerts and distractions and emails and phone calls and all of that. So we've got really great contact there. And then the third one is about growth mindsets. So it deepens what we do in the course there. And of course, depending on the jurisdiction's requirements, you might be able to claim it in terms of professional skills or business skills in your jurisdiction. So it's worth thinking about that too. So Carla, that's all I have to say on that. Was there anything that you'd like to kind of close out with as we finalize our last live for the week?
Yeah, so thank you, Kathleen. This has been a lot of fun. Like in the beginning, I was like, well, do we need to go live? But actually, I really enjoyed the process. It's been really good to be able to show the course, to be able to explain, to be able to come back and just, share this moment with you and share with people that interested in looking at our course. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me into this beautiful journey, this path here to go live. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
No, thank you. We look forward to sharing this or continuing to share this with the world now that all our creation time has come to fruition. And look, if you've also got questions, please send them to us with whatever forum that you're looking at this through, whether it's Instagram comments or LinkedIn comments or messages. We're more than happy to answer any questions. And just remember, it all closes in terms of those specials at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So thank you.